So this is 1.1, apply properties of real numbers. It'll clear up in a second. All right, so we're going to start with the examples. The first ones say to identify the property that the statement illustrates. So number 12, we have 15. What's happening? 15 times 1 equals 15. So which property would that be? Just yell it out.
It's one of the multiplication ones. Closure? It's the identity
Property of multiplication. And if you wanted to abbreviate that, you could do like ID. See, number 16, 6 times 5 times 7 equals 6 times 5 times 7. Which one would this one be?
Associative of multiplication.
Yep. Associative. Okay, make sure you're careful if you do decide to abbreviate that one. Associative property of multiplication. Hey, I'm just telling you, it happens. So I don't care if you abbreviate things so you don't have to write as much. As long as it's like, within reason. All right, so then the next one say to use the properties and definitions of operations to show that the statement is true. Justify each step. Okay, so that means if you have something like this for 18, 15 times 3 divided by b equals 45 divided by b. Okay, leave the right side alone. You're only going to do stuff to the left to make the left look like the right, okay? So this is the one time in this class that you actually have to do something like you did in geometry where you're explaining each step that you do, okay? So you're not...
Good morning.
Good morning.
Any absences?
Sorry, yeah, Brandon. But he's got study hall.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, so we're just going to do stuff to the left, okay? Leave the right side alone, and we're going to justify each step. So the first thing that I'm going to do, leave the 15 alone, then do the 3, okay? And then from the properties, we don't really technically have something for division, so we're going to change it to multiplying by 1 over b, okay? And the reason for that, it's the definition of division. Next, I'm going to regroup these to have 15 times 3 times 1 over b. And I can do that by the associative property of multiplication. Okay, now I'm choosing to do this stuff based on what I need to see on the right side, okay? So I have the numbers together, and then I have divided by b. So while I could have distributed here, okay, that wasn't what it was wanting me to do. Okay, it's not what it wants me to have it look like on the right side. So that's why I swapped it over. So then 15 times 3 is 45 times 1 over b. And the justification is just that that's multiplication. So then lastly, I can do 45 divided by b by the definition of division. Okay, so I couldn't have just moved the parentheses in the first step over because I don't have anything that deals with division. So I had to change it into something that I am allowed to work with before I was allowed to do that. Let's do another one of those. 22. We have 12b plus 15 minus 3b equals 15 plus 9b. Okay, so again, we're going to leave the right side alone. We want to make sure this looks like a b and not a 6. We want to make the left side look like the right side. So I'm going to ask y'all, what do you think I need to do first? Can't do that.
So should we move the 3b over to the other side, the negative 3b?
I cannot do that. I don't have anything that deals with negatives. Think about what I did with division when I didn't have something that dealt with division. What's another way I could deal with the subtraction sign? Okay, so add a negative. So I'm going to rewrite this as 12b plus 15 plus negative 3b. And that's going to be the definition of subtraction. So then now what can I do?
So you can add the negative 3b to 12b.
Nope.
So you switch the places of the 15 and the negative 3b.
Can't do that yet. I need this side to look like this side. So what needs to be in front?
15.
15. So I'm going to swap these two. What allows me to swap those two?
The commutative property of addition.
Commutative property of addition. So then now what?
So now we put the 12b and the negative 3b together in the same parentheses.
Okay, so yes. So I would have 15 plus parentheses 12b plus the little parentheses negative 3b. So what allows me to do that?
Associative.
Yep. Associative property of addition. And then lastly, what do I need to do?
Add negative 3 and 12.
So it's going to be 15 plus 9b. And what allows me to do that?
Just the adding.
Just like terms. Or you could say adding like terms or whatever. Combine like terms, however you want to put it. So I know, like, in your brain, that is not at all how you would actually solve that problem. But it's just, like, the first, like, justification of why you're allowed to do things. This is the one and only section where you will have to do this. Let's see. Alright, I am going to do an odd one, which I don't normally do, but C minus 3, and that's all in parentheses, plus 3 equals C. Any ideas what I need to do first with this one?
Do we change the plus 3 to minus plus 3? Or no?
Opposite of what you just said. Change this one to plus and minus 3. Alright, so then I'm going to have in parentheses C plus, little parentheses, negative 3, and then close the parentheses, plus 3. And what's the reason for that?
Definition of subtraction.
Definition of subtraction. So then what's the next thing I should do?
So you switch so you put the threes in parentheses together.
Okay, so I would have C plus parentheses, negative 3, plus 3, and what allows me to do that? Associative, property of addition. Now what?
Now you that.
Technically, this is the inverse property, but yes. And then lastly, what do I need to do?
Just get rid of the 0 because it's nothing.
And what's the reason for that? There's a property that goes with it.
The 0 property. Identity.
Identity, property of addition. Any questions about why we did any of the steps or how we did them or anything like that? Those ones before we move on to the next thing in this section.
How come we have to switch some of the negatives to like a plus negative?
Because we don't technically have anything that allows us to do something over subtraction. So like if I wanted to move the parentheses over, I don't have something that allows me to do that when that's subtraction. If it was C plus 3, I would have something that allows me to move it. But since it's a minus, we need to change it to plus a negative to let us do that. Alright, so the next ones that we're going to do are conversions, or like little mini word problems. So these ones say solve the problem, use unit analysis to check. So I assume y'all all had Miss Marshall last year, so you know how to do unit analysis. You'll know what I mean when I write it down, I'm sure. Alright, so number 28, you buy 6 gallons of juice at $1.25 per gallon. What is your total cost? So we have 6 gallons of juice. Our cost is $1.25 per gallon. So I'm going to set up this little, does that look familiar? Did y'all do this? Okay. So I'm going to set this up and I want my units to be able to cancel. So the $1.25 is going on top. And then 1 gallon, because it's per gallon, is going on the bottom. I can cancel my gallons, and so then I just have 6 times $1.25, which is what? $7.50. let's see, 30. You ride in a train for 175 miles at an average speed of 50 miles per hour. How many hours does the trip take? So how would I set this one up? With my little...
So do you put the speed on the top part? So the speed goes on the bottom.
Well,
Ooh, so the distance is on the top.
okay, so the distance is going in the top left, so 175 miles. So then I need things to cancel, so where do I put the 50 miles per hour?
Top right. Or, no, bottom right.
So the 50 miles is going to go here, and then the 1 hour is going to go up here, because I want to know how many hours it's going to take. So now this allows me to cancel my miles. If you can't cancel your units to get the unit, like when I set it up, I will always go through and cancel my units first before I start doing stuff with the actual numbers. Because if my units don't cancel to give me just the units that I want to be my final answer, I know something's wrong. So that'll help me to see that I need to flip something around. So 175 divided by 50 is what?
3.5.
3.5 hours. Always make sure you put units on these. Then the next one says to perform the indicated conversions. So 34, 5 hours, 2 minutes. So I need to convert 5 hours into minutes. So how would I set this one up?
You do 5 hours in the top left and then 1 hour in the bottom right. And then 60 minutes in the top right.
Yep. So some of these require you to remember some of your conversions from like 3rd grade. So then, again, hours cancel, leaving me with minutes, which is what I want my final answer to be. So 5 times 60 is what? 300 minutes.
So is this one of the ones that we could just do in our heads?
No, absolutely not. No work, no credit. 42. This one is just convert the rate into the given units. So this one's going to give you a rate like miles per hour, and then it's going to tell us what to convert it to. So this one gives us 6 feet per second, and it wants us to convert it to miles per hour. So with one like this one, we are going to have more than just the one little block that we're going to be filling in. We're going to have a couple because we have to convert not one thing but 2 things now. So I always start with what I'm given, so 6 feet per second. So 6 feet goes on top per 1 second on the bottom. So then I ultimately need to get to hours and to miles. So which one do y'all want to do first? Which one do you want to deal with converting first? All right. So converting miles first. What is a conversion factor that deals with miles and feet? How many feet are in a mile?
5,280.
5,280, so that's going to go on the bottom. 5,280 feet in 1 mile. Okay, so I have converted from feet to miles, so that part's taken care of. Now I need to go seconds to hours. So, what's a conversion factor? This is going to be a 2-step conversion. So how many, or what is my next conversion up on my way to hours? So what would that be?
60.
So 60 seconds, and again, it's going to go on top so that my units can cancel, is in 1 minute. And then what's the last one?
60 minutes and 1 hour.
60 minutes in 1 hour. Now, if you just happen to, off the top of your head, know how many seconds were in an hour, you could have just done that one conversion.
1,440.
No.
Stink.
It would be 60 times 60, which is 3,600.
3,600. I know how many minutes are in a day.
All right, so then again, I would just go through and cross off units to make sure that you're left with what you wanted. So I got rid of feet, and then seconds are going to cancel, minutes are going to cancel, so that leaves me with miles on top, hours on the bottom, so that gives me my miles per hour. And then at this point, I would allow you to use a calculator to multiply this out, but to save some time for the moment, if I did 6 times 60 times 60 divided by 5,280, you would get 4.1 miles per hour, or you could write MPH if you wanted. Seems kind of slow. Any questions about those? You okay with conversions? Sweet. All right, so then for the rest of the time, I'm going to always write it as HW for homework, but it's classwork unless you just don't finish. 13, 17, 21, 27, 35, 37, and 41. And then if you happen to finish that and have time left and you want to watch the video, you can do that after you submit this to Google Classroom. I'll create a tab for you so that you can upload that as soon as you're done.